When I was younger, I had this image in my mind of what does a man look like to me? And I got all these people who were badasses, characters. And in my mind, I became that. And that's what kept me going a lot, was I had this pipe dream of becoming a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Because when you have no parents raising you and you have no role models growing up, it's not daydreaming. You start to create a reality like, maybe I can be that. And after becoming this guy, that is the biggest thing I can ever do in my life, is I became that guy. That I once looked at all these guys, now look at myself like, God, who the can do that? I can't. But what it takes is a discipline that no one can ever even, they don't understand it. They don't understand, but everybody has the ability to do it, but they just don't want to. They want to keep asking questions and keep going to seminars. And the greatness is right in you. And that's why, once again, I'll say this a million times here, I do not feel sorry for you. I will not sugarcoat what I'm going to say to you, because all of you know what I'm saying is the truth. Everybody knows it's the truth. This is what it looks like. And you know it too. You know it too. This is what, if you ain't got nothing, I hate to tell you, what it looks like is ugly. It's not a documentary. It's not an HBO special. You ain't gonna watch it, but hey man, you guys gotta watch this. No, it's like, oh God, this looks like a train wreck. It's like a nightmare. This looks like this guy got, no, that's what it looks like. Hard work looks horrible. It's not motivating. It's not motivating at all. It ain't like Rocky round 14 where he gets knocked down and goes like this to Apollo Creed. It looks like a man being stuck in a fucking dungeon and there's no fucking way out. But you have the fucking key, but you refuse to use it. And that's nothing motivating about that. I've always been drawn to stories of overcoming great adversity. Growing up, I was obsessed with movies like Rocky and Platoon, films that portrayed people facing and fighting through extreme challenges. But there was a specific moment that truly transformed my mindset. 2 minutes and 13 seconds of a Rocky film. I remember it vividly. One day, I was at a friend's house. He was one of those guys who had 2 VCRs and would tape all sorts of movies. That day, Rocky was on. But to me, his expression said it all. He saw something in Rocky at that moment that I wanted for myself. This scene, those brief 2 minutes and 13 seconds, reshaped my vision of success. It wasn't about winning for me. It wasn't about resilience. I wanted to embody that spirit of never giving up, of persisting despite being knocked down, of standing up even when everything seemed against me. I wanted to develop that kind of heart, that kind of grit. To do that, I knew I had to embrace discomfort, to challenge myself continuously. Inspired by Rocky, it wasn't about becoming a boxer or emulating him exactly. I simply wanted to cultivate that same determination and strength of character. I aspired to be someone who, like Rocky, could take life's hardest hits and still, stubbornly, get back up. That moment instilled in me a desire for a profound sense of pride, not from victory, but from the sheer perseverance and resilience shown in the face of overwhelming odds. This is where my journey began, with a newfound purpose to embody that relentless spirit. I had a starting point, and the starting point was this very scared, immature, fragile kid. But through figuring out this fragile kid, I found out through all this muck, this can come out the other end. Person that does 4,030 pull-ups, who runs miles and miles and miles at a time. But we all have these abilities, not just to run and do pull-ups, but these abilities that once we go back into our dark holes, that a lot of us have. A lot of us come from, insecurities, a lot of issues, but we don't want to visit that place. Place is scary. Place is something that we want to forget about. I had the courage, finally, to go back in there and organize it. Get it organized in my mind and figure out, where to start from. So, but the journey led me to the so-called superhuman stuff that I do now. For me, my routine is every night I stretch out. And I stretch out for 2 or 3 hours every single night without fail.
Yeah.
And while I'm stretching out, I'm thinking about my plan for the next day. And I'm thinking about all these different obstacles that may come up. So basically, a lot of us aren't prepared for life. We get up willy-nilly and just hope life is going to happen. It is going to happen, but it's going to happen with a prepared mind or an unprepared mind. Most people attack life with an unprepared mind. What I do is I try to account for all things that could happen, might happen, probably will happen, and then the unknowns. So basically, I can't account for everything, but I do know there could be some things that come up in life that you need to be ready for. I know for a fact I'm not going to want to work out tomorrow. Therefore, I'm preparing my mind for that. I don't want to do that. I know tomorrow will come with some difficult decisions to make. It may come with getting a phone call saying someone died. This happened, that happened. I'm always preparing myself, not in a morbid way, but just like, look, man, be ready for life. Don't let life just start attacking you left and right. Make sure that you start to build a mental armor so then you're ready for life. And that comes with a very physical way, and the physical helps out the mental. I know how it feels to be approaching an energetic dead end. I've been there too many times to count. I understand the temptation to sell short, but I also know that impulse is driven by your mind's desire for comfort, and it's not telling you the truth. It's your identity trying to find sanctuary, not help you grow. It's looking for status quo, not reaching for greatness or seeking wholeness. But the software update that you need to shut your governor down is no supersonic download. It takes 20 years to gain 20 years of experience. And the only way to move beyond your 40% is to callous your mind day after day, which means you will have to chase pain like it's your damn job. Imagine you're a boxer and on your first day in the ring, you take one on your chin. It's going to hurt like in hell, but at year 10 being a boxer, you won't be stopped by one punch. You'll be able to absorb 12 rounds of getting beat the f down and come back the very next day and fight again. It's not that the punch has lost power. Your opponents will be even stronger. The change has happened within your brain. You've calloused your mind. Over a period of time, your tolerance for mental and physical suffering will have expanded because your software will have learned that you can take a hell of a lot more than one punch. And if you stay with any task that is trying to beat you down, you will reap rewards. Not a fighter. Say you like to run but have a broken pinky toe. I'll bet if you continue running on it, pretty soon you'll be able to run on broken legs. Sounds impossible, right? I know it's true because I've run on broken legs, and that knowledge helped me endure all manner of agonies on the ultra circuit, which has revealed a clear spring of self-confidence that I drink from whenever my tank is dry. But nobody taps their reserve 60% right away or all at once. The first step is to remember that your initial blast of pain and fatigue is your governor talking. Once you do that, you are in control of the dialogue in your mind, and you can remind yourself that you are not as drained as you think, that you haven't given it your all, not even close. Buying into that will keep you in the fight, and that's worth an extra 5%. Of course, that's easier read than done. It wasn't easy to begin the fourth lap of the Hurt 100 because I knew how much it would hurt. And when you are feeling dead and buried, dehydrated, wrung out, and torn the fuck up at 40%, finding that extra 60% feels impossible. I didn't want my suffering to continue. Nobody does. That's why the line fatigue makes cowards of us all is true as shit. Mind you, I didn't know anything about the 40 rule that day. The Hurt 100 is when I first started to contemplate it, but I had hit the wall many times before, and I had learned to stay present and open-minded enough to recalibrate my goals, even at my lowest. I knew that staying in the fight is always the hardest and most rewarding first step. Of course, it's easy to be open-minded when you leave yoga class and are taking a stroll by the beach, but when you're suffering, keeping an open mind is hard work. The same is true if you're facing a daunting challenge on the job or at school. Maybe you're tackling a 100-question test and know that you've bricked the first 50. At that point, it's extremely difficult to maintain the necessary discipline to force yourself to keep taking the test seriously. It's also imperative that you find it, because in every failure there is something to be gained, even if it's only practice for the next test you'll have to take, because that next test is coming. That's a guarantee. I was 300 pounds twice in my life. So every day I have my shoes laid out, because I hate running. People don't believe it. I hate it. So that's what happens. Every day I wake up out of my bed and there's my shoes, my shirt, my shorts, depending on the weather. There's some days I wake up and I just look at them for hours. And then I'll start walking around the house. And I say, I ain't running today. I'm not doing today. Nothing. I don't have to. And that's when I think, I got 2.3 million followers on Instagram. You have an obligation, not to yourself, but to everybody out there that is touched by what you do as a human being. While nobody knows what I'm doing, no one is videoing me. I am a virtual trainer mentally, because there's a lot of people out there saying, man, David Goggins is after today. And if I wake up one morning and don't do that, I go back to that David Goggins who lied about being who he wanted to be. So my thing that keeps me going every day is my mission in life. Wow, I did not choose it. I'm an introvert and I hate what we're doing even right now. Is to always stay the course, because you know exactly what it is to not man up. I've done that too many times in my life. So that's what keeps me going. It's time to visualize. Again, the average person thinks 2,000, 3,000 thoughts per hour. Rather than focusing on bullshit you cannot change, imagine visualizing the things you can. Choose any obstacle in your way, or set a new goal and visualize overcoming or achieving it. Before I engage in any challenging activity, I start by painting a picture of what my success looks and feels like. I'll think about it every day, and that feeling propels me forward when I'm training, competing, or taking on any task I choose. But visualization isn't simply about daydreaming of some trophy ceremony, real or metaphorical. You must also visualize the challenges that are likely to arise and determine how you will attack those problems when they do. That way you can be as prepared as possible on the journey. When I show up for a foot race now, I drive the entire course first, visualizing success, but also potential challenges, which helps me control my thought process. You can't prepare for everything, but if you engage in strategic visualization ahead of time, you'll be as prepared as you possibly can be. That also means being prepared to answer the simple questions. Why are you doing this? What is driving you toward this achievement? Where does the darkness you're using as fuel come from? What has calloused your mind? You'll need to have those answers at your fingertips when you hit a wall of pain and doubt. To push through, you'll need to channel your darkness, feed off it, and lean on your callous mind. Remember, visualization will never compensate for work undone. You cannot visualize lies. All the strategies I employ to answer the simple questions and win the mind game are only effective because I put in the work. It's a lot more than mind over matter. It takes relentless self-discipline to schedule suffering into your day, every day. But if you do, you'll find that at the other end of that suffering is a whole other life just waiting for you. This challenge doesn't have to be physical, and victory doesn't always mean you came in first place. It can mean you finally overcome a lifelong fear or any other obstacle that made you surrender in the past. Whatever it is, tell the world your story about how you created your armored mind and where it's taken you.